Hello, welcome. Thank you for joining us on this edition of News 2. I'm Sandra Gomansing. In our top story, the United States is on high alert after North Korea fired several short-range ballistic missiles within the last 3 weeks, and the details of Russian coercion in U.S. politics are top stories. However, active and retired military servicemen and women prioritized honoring their comrades that have lost their lives while in service. News 2's Stephanie Brown reports.
In paying tribute to those who have died while serving in the country's armed forces, the territory engaged in processions on all three islands. On St. Croix, participants in the Memorial Day March proceeded to the Frederiksted Cemetery to place wreaths on the graves of fallen military comrades. Osbert Potter exclaimed in a written statement that as a retired member of the Virgin Islands National Guard, this occasion is very significant to me as I reflect on the selflessness and contributions of military servicemen and women. Adjutant General of the Virgin Islands recognized the selflessness and the spirit of community that has long been practiced in the territory.
Although our American lineage goes back to 1917, the bond of camaraderie goes back to 1776. We will not forget those who died so that we could be free.
Internationally, both North Korean President Kim Jong-un, who has launched 12 long-range missiles this year, and Russian President Vladimir Putin, who has become distant from policies and relations in the West, have expressed content with the U.S.
Because of all the distractions and scandals going on today in America's politics, most Americans probably don't realize that the war in the Middle East is just one heartbeat away from exploding again. According to military defense, there are currently approximately 10,000 U.S. servicemen and women deployed in Afghanistan, 5,000 in Iraq, and another 15,000 in Kuwait ready to be sent forward to Iraq or Afghanistan at a moment's notice. Although combat operations in the Middle East have been officially ended for 2+ years, there have been 42 U.S. casualties during that time.
With low attendance in this year's procession on St. Croix, the Lieutenant Governor questioned the community's commitment in honoring those who have lost their lives defending the nation.
I know if this was a pre-Juve morning celebration that all of us love to be a part of, the place would have been lined with people. You would even have vendors selling, and it would just be a big party if it were something like a Juve celebration.
For News 2, I'm Stephanie Shalana Brown.
Now, if you or someone you know is battling with grief from the loss of a military serviceman or woman, the Vet Center on both islands have services that could assist. You can contact 774-5017 on St. Thomas and or 778-5553 on St. Croix. Meanwhile, on St. Thomas, the Memorial Day ceremony in the Franklin D. Roosevelt Veterans Park was highlighted by the performance of the University of Maryland Eastern Shore Choir, which sang the official songs of each branch of service, as veterans and members of each branch represented stood in acknowledgement. Patrick Farrell, the Director of the Office of Veterans Affairs, welcomed the participation of representatives of all the Department of Veterans Affairs Caribbean healthcare system as he pledged to continue all efforts to ensure equal access to benefits for Virgin Islands veterans. The laying of wreaths at the respective armed services memorials and a gun salute culminated the ceremony.
Fails going on than there are Memorial Day ceremonies. Sad, but unfortunate. There are more people on the beaches having barbecues than there are at Memorial Day ceremonies today. So what I say to that is, veterans, those of you that are out there under my voice, we first have to represent ourselves. It is my honor, my privilege to serve as your Veterans Affairs Director for the Virgin Islands. And as long as I have the opportunity to do so, I will do so with all my heart and my strength. We may not be perfect at the Virgin Islands Office of Veterans Affairs, but I will tell you this, we will not make the same mistake twice. We will not. Because once we learn what went wrong, we will fix it.
The next time you think about asking why are they having a parade on Memorial Day? Or why are you being made to march in it? Or even saying Happy Memorial Day to a soldier or veteran. know that we will be offended. This day is anything but happy for us, but it is not a task either. This day of remembrance is necessary. Why? Because soldiers sacrifice. From the time we raise our right hand, we sacrifice. Some have seen their comrades pay the ultimate sacrifice to ensure that today we are free. Then, there are the families that are one less because of that sacrifice. Whatever you choose to do for the rest of this Memorial Day, I ask that as a part of the greatest nation on earth, we first show our gratitude to those persons because what they gave has no price tag.
Now, in remarks at the ceremonies on St. John and during Monday's ceremony on St. Thomas, Governor Kenneth Mapp noted the Virgin Islands' unique distinction as having the highest per capita level of sacrifice in service to the United States Armed Forces. He cited as well the fact that 70% of the territory's high school JROTC students go on to enlist in the military. The governor shared the chapter of local history during which Virgin Islanders actually petitioned Washington to be included in the draft. These facts and figures, he say, are ample evidence of the patriotism and willingness on the part of Virgin Islanders to make sacrifices up to and including the ultimate sacrifice for their country. Well, Memorial Day is a day when all Americans, including Virgin Islanders, get together to commemorate those heroes that defended our country and paid the ultimate price. This is a remark for Senator Marvin Blyden. He said we should all be ever so grateful to those who have served in our armed forces and never make it back to our shores to celebrate this and the many to follow Memorial Day commemorations. A will to serve this great country and these Virgin Islands shows courage and true American heroism. We honor and salute you. The senator says he will always support initiatives that honor and respect not only our fallen heroes, but the heroes who have returned home to our shores, needing special attention. Senator at Large Brian Smith, he said there are extreme human sacrifices for all our liberties and no one should ever take it lightly. It's not just a day for picnics and barbecues, it's a day to reflect on the sacrifices that our military personnel make for each one of us. Senator Dwayne DeGraff said, I take time to pay tribute to the fallen and thank all those who have served and presently serve. DeGraff, who is a veteran himself, reminds residents to remember its significance. He said, even though you have not lost someone who died while on active duty, it is still important to remember those who gave their lives to ensure our freedom. Well, in other news, many in the community are mourning the passing of former Senate President Bingley Richardson. Governor Mapp said the U.S. Virgin Islands has lost one of its progressive and committed public servants. He said he will certainly live on in the annals of Virgin Islands history and in the memories of all those whose lives he touched. The governor added that he and Bingley served together in the 20th legislature when he was Senate President. He said while we served on opposite sides of the aisle, the president served with distinction, respecting all members of the Senate. Governor Mapp said Richardson will be remembered as a generous and forward-thinking man. Bingley, he said, will never be forgotten for the strong stance he took on keeping our beaches open to the people of the Virgin Islands. He said his work in being one of the founders of the Free Beach movement helped to drive momentum in laws being passed, protecting the rights of citizens to have free access to the territory's shorelines. Governor Mapp said that Richardson's many accomplishments included playing a leading role in the U.S. Virgin Islands acquisition of the West Indian Company and developing the local marine industry. He said we also worked together when Senator Richardson ran for office of Lieutenant Governor with former Governor Juan Louis as his running mate in 1990. Bingley was committed to protecting both our civil rights and economic interests, and he deeply loved the Virgin Islands and its people. He said, my thoughts and prayers are with his loved ones during the time of mourning. May his soul rest in peace. Condolences to the Richardson family on behalf of all of us here at News 2. Lockhart Elementary School will be staging an active shooter drill on Wednesday on the school's campus. Personnel from VITEMA and the VIPD will be leading that exercise, which aims to gauge the school's preparedness to conduct an effective lockdown in the event of an active shooter emergency. Now, the drill start time is not being publicly announced, but the exercise is expected to last approximately 30 minutes. So they're urging parents, residents, and businesses in the surrounding community to not be alarmed during this exercise. Well, here's an update on a murder case. 40 years in prison with credit for 326 days already served was the sentence for VI Superior Court Judge Michael Dunstan. He had handed that down to Enrique Saldana. He will not be eligible for parole until his mid-70s, which means he will effectively spend the rest of his life in jail. A fitting punishment, they say, because the man cruelly murdered Jeanette. And from his statement to the court this morning, he seems to be haunted by the thought of her death. A.G. Walker said 53-year-old Saldana, a former VI police captain, was punished for second-degree murder, second-degree assault, and 2 counts of third-degree assault, all crimes of domestic violence, 2 months after a jury convicted him of the May 2nd, 2014 murder of his wife, Jeanette McGrath Saldana, 43. He said, "I miss Jeanette every day," he said at his sentencing when given the opportunity to address the court on his own behalf. He said, "For 3 years, every day, I wish to God that it had been me." After hearing 5 days of testimony and deliberating for 3 hours, a VI Superior Court jury returned a unanimous verdict convicting Saldana of drugging and debilitating his wife with diphenhydramine, beating her and then killing her. According to the evidence presented at the trial, Saldana was insanely jealous of his wife. On the morning of May 2nd, 2014, Saldana called 911 to report that his girlfriend wasn't breathing and that he needed assistance to go to the hospital. In a video interview with the police, Saldana told investigators that he was at his wife's house on May 1st, 2014, and he saw her take a handful of sleeping pills on 2 separate occasions. He said Jeanette McGrath Saldana fell on her way to the kitchen and she wiped her bloody nose with a piece of tissue, which she disposed of into the toilet. Then early in the morning of May 2nd, 2014, they went to Vesup's Beach at Jeanette McGrath Saldana's request. While at the beach, Jeanette McGrath Saldana fell down. He tried lifting her up and she yelped in pain. She also fell at least twice against the vehicle and she was coming out of the water. She stopped breathing, he told police. Medical examiner Landron, who performed the autopsy on Jeanette, testified that she died as a result of acute diphenhydramine, a substance which is marketed as Benadryl, a fatal level of concentration, however. Dr. Landron also noted that Jeanette's body bore multiple bruises and contusions, including 2 large bruises on the left breast, 1 large bruise around the chin, and several bruises on both arms. By the time Jeanette arrived at the hospital, rigor mortis had already set in and her body temperature was recorded at 95.6, which meant she was dead for about 2 to 4 hours. Well, here's more from Governor Mapp's press conference on Friday. Projections show that cruise travel will decline by 11% in 2018 in the territory. To counter the projection, the governor is aggressively focusing on attracting overnight visitors through sports tourism, as we reported. However, he needs the Senate support on Bill number 32-0087. Here's more.
We're gonna get the actual construction of Pauly Joseph going once the Senate votes to give us the 6 acres. As you know, and has been reported in your paper, that the original bill from last year called for acquisition of 94 acres. And for the purposes of getting going, we said, give us the first 6. When we did the release of what that whole project would look like, to the north of that project, as part of the acquisition of the total 90 acres, was an entire soccer facility. When we get to that phase of the project and we say to the members of the Senate, we believe now it's time to go ahead and expand the project to put in a professional soccer facility. We'll be able to demonstrate, for example, the teams that will be able to come, use, play on that facility, the exposure.
Well, in other news, turning to CNN, President Trump spent Memorial Day paying tribute to America's fallen service members at Arlington National Cemetery. While most Americans had the day off work, the White House was still working to battle new allegations related to Russia and soothe strained relationships with allies. In his Memorial Day speech, the Commander-in-Chief singled out 3 men who made the ultimate sacrifice in Afghanistan: Christopher Horton, Andrew Byers, and Robert Kelly, the son of Homeland Security Secretary John Kelly. Secretary Kelly himself made headlines this weekend, downplaying the significance of Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, looking to open a back-channel line of communication with Russia during the transition. Democrats want Kushner's security clearance pulled. Kelly says it's no big deal. Keeping our eye on the economy, shares of Amazon are reaching unprecedented levels. Amazon stock hit a new high of more than $1,000 a share when trading opened Tuesday. How rare is that? Well, only one other stock in the S&P 500, Priceline, currently has a 4-figure stock price. And Google's parent company, Alphabet, is just a few dollars below the $1,000 a share mark as well. The news continues the good run for Amazon this year. The online retail giant's stock is up 35% for the year and has a market value of $478 billion. And according to Forbes, Amazon founder Jeff Bezos is believed to be worth about $85 billion, putting him in a virtual tie for second richest person in the world. Taking a look at the numbers there, the Dow down, 50 NASDAQ down as well, 7 S&P 500 down. Coming up on News 2, just a reminder that minimum wage is going up. We'll have details on that coming up next. Welcome back. Well, Department of Labor Commissioner Catherine Hendry reminds all Virgin Islands employers and the general public that effective June 1st, the minimum wage in the USVI will be increased to $9.50 per hour for all employees, with the exception of tourist service and restaurant employees. If you have not complied with the Title 24, Chapter 1 of the VI Code, you are in violation of this statute, and you can call the Department of Labor if you have any information on that. Well, VIA, the largest telecommunications provider in the USVI with a full suite of telecommunications services, including television, cable TV, high-speed data, and wireless, they're advising the motoring public of work currently being done along certain roadways in St. Thomas as the hybrid fiber coaxial upgrade moves towards completion. Work crews will be dismantling the legacy coax, copper cables, and poles. Over the next 3 weeks, VIA will have technical crews working along the roadways from Bolongo to Nada. VIA is requesting that motorists and pedestrians observe the cautionary signs and flags on the road. The company apologizes for any inconvenience this necessary work may cause the community. Lieutenant Governor Osbert Potter joined the entire community in the celebration of Public Service Recognition Week in the Virgin Islands. He extended congratulations to all the 2017 Virgin Islands Government Employees of the Year, including the honorees from the Office of the Lieutenant Governor, Akila Thompson and Jacqueline Jones. He also congratulated and presented awards to Government of the VI employees at the 2017 Employee of the Year recognition ceremonies. Congratulations to all the honorees, and big thank you to the Division of Personnel for coordinating the activities during Public Service Recognition Week. Well, many flags were flown all the way in Atlanta, VI flags that is, at the VI picnic that was held on Sunday. Our very own Spectrum Band, they performed much to the delight there of all fans near and far. Parade participants gathered and prepared in Kensington MARTA Station for the departure of Atlanta Caribbean Carnival Parade in Decatur on Saturday. The parade was hosted by Atlanta Carnival Band Leaders Council to promote a broader understanding and a deeper appreciation of Caribbean culture among the Atlanta community by seeking the interest of carnival bands and steel bands and using the Atlanta Caribbean Carnival as a vehicle for the promotion of Caribbean culture. The Atlanta Caribbean Carnival celebrated 30 years this weekend. The festival kicked off with a parade on Saturday afternoon. Caribbean bands and colorful costumes marched through the streets. Artists from several Caribbean islands performed, and vendors lined the streets as well. well with traditional Caribbean food and artwork. The festival ran through Sunday at Central Park. Well, it was the perfect weekend right here at home for an agricultural fair. And the Smith Bay Ag Fair drew many. Many checked out that fair this past weekend. It was presented by the Smith Bay Community Action Foundation. In addition to all the foods, vendors, and entertainment, there were many opportunities to win gifts and prizes. The Filipino community, you see right there, they came out to showcase some of their culture, dance, and food. There was fun for the entire family. Well, hopping over to the Big Island, the heat was on Sunday for the Spicy in Paradise Chili Cook-Off that was held at the DV Carina Bay Resort over in St. Croix, presented by the United Way of the Virgin Islands. More than a dozen chefs put their talent in chili up to the ultimate test. Maria's Cantina took best chili. Between live music and plenty of dancing, it was a fine way to spend the afternoon and support an excellent cause. Here's more.
Well, this event actually shows the community that we're here. It's very vital that when you go out and you work within the community, that you're able to share with your community that you're vibrant, you're thriving, and you're expanding your programs. And that within St. Croix, with the reestablishing of the United Way mission here, is also informing everyone what programs that we're bringing to the table and the direction the United Way is taking for the future. This event is in St. Croix, but it's for the Virgin Islands and for the community of St. Croix as a whole, too.
That was for a great cause. Now, the weekend may be over, but it's not too early to get a jump start on the weekend. Emmett P. has your weekend guide.
Ready. It's another episode. When we out on the road, this is what we love to celebrate, to celebrate.
Cheesecake bite. Banana milkshake.
24-karat cake.
Right now, you're here at Chef John's Wings Gone Wild, which is a new concept we have here at the Petrus Plaza, featuring the Caribbean's best wings-themed restaurant. We have about 15 different flavors. We have mild, wild, suicide. We have a General Soul. We have a Thai chili. We have a Caribbean curry, jerk, and so many more flavors. We also have a line of burgers. You're going to see Chef John's carrot burgers. We have a Beastie Burger, which is 2 patties, lettuce, tomato, grilled onions, a brioche bun. Great burger. We have a Bacchanal burger. We have a Bravo burger, which comes with avocado. We also have Philly cheesesteaks. We have a chicken Philly. We have a steak Philly. We have tons of stuff on our menu. We have donuts. We have apple cider donut, a red velvet donut, chocolate donut, blueberry donuts. What really inspired Wings Gone Wild was my travels throughout the mainland U.S. and going to a lot of other franchises and restaurants which are wings-themed restaurants. Great concept, great sauces, but we didn't have anything like that here in the Virgin Islands, and I wanted to fill that void because everybody loves wings, you know, whether it be Super Bowl, whether it be NBA Finals, family party, doesn't matter, wings go great with whatever you're doing. So that's what inspired the concept, and we wanted to make sure that we filled that void, but with a little Caribbean flavor. As you know, Chef John's Island flavor, you're already used to that. We're bringing that same flavor right here to wing. It's a personal invitation to come on down to Chef John's Wings Gone Wild on the waterfront in Petrus Plaza. The best wings, burgers, milkshakes, fries, and so much more.
And that is your weekend guide. Be sure to stick around. We have your News 2 AccuWeather forecast coming up next.
Well, it's been a bit wet here across the Virgin Islands. Some places like San Juan saw more than 1.5 inches of rain today in the last 24 hours. St. Thomas, not quite as wet, but still 1/2 inch. So it's been a bit wet here for people. Taking a look at our radar and satellite, we see this precipitation. It's moving off to the west. So still some leftover showers in places, but this is certainly moving out and not in to the islands. That's good news for people who are hoping for some dry weather. It's pretty humid out there tonight. 79 degrees for the overnight low. We're still going to have a leftover shower or two, and that's really the story for the next day, not just tonight, but into tomorrow. So St. John tomorrow, 87 degrees with a shower or two. St. Thomas, a similar story, 87 degrees with a shower or two. And St. Croix, same story, 87 degrees with a few showers passing through the island. Certainly not a washout. We'll all have plenty of sunshine out there for you. For the Atlantic side, for the waves, 2 to 4 feet, winds out of the east 10 to 15 knots. The Caribbean side, very similar, 3 to 5 feet, winds out of the east from 10 to 15 knots. Taking a look at this 5-day, well, we see rain across the board, really any day. It's going to be heavier, though, on our Wednesday, taper off a little bit Thursday into Friday, and then on Saturday, it's going to be nice. Mostly sunny skies with just a shower, very brief passing through. Same story for Sunday, so we have a great weekend ahead of us. Temperatures are in the upper 80s. And by the way, Thursday, June 1st, is the beginning of hurricane season. For right now, we certainly don't have anything on the radar, but we will certainly be keeping an eye on that. Back to you, Sandy.
Thanks for that. So mark that on the calendar, June 1st. And here's a look at our News2 weather picture there by Hector Pimentel, a second grader, giving us some sunshine and clouds. Great outlook there. Hope you had a wonderful holiday, Hector. Send us your News2 weather picture to the address on the screen, and be sure to tune in to see your work right here on News2. That is all for this edition. We'd like to thank you for joining us for all the latest. We leave you with music from the University of Maryland Eastern Shore Choir, and they performed over the Memorial Day holiday weekend. I'm Sandra Mansing. Have a wonderful evening. We'll see you next time.
Let that sweet, sweet sound of freedom ring out. Let it ring, let it sing, let it echo all over the land. Let it ring all over this wonderful land, till the spirit of justice and freedom lives on in our hearts. Oh, beautiful, for spacious skies,